There's life in them old blue baggers yet. Carlton have managed to string 2 wins together, and this time it wasn't just a win, more of a statement. But hold your horses, 2 big wins, I know, against the Eagles and North doesn't equal Premiership tilt yet. At Marvel Stadium on Good Friday, the Blues reminded everyone how dangerous this pressure-based system can be. They went and ran, they went and gunned, and they went and played on their terms. North Melbourne, they were spectators for many of the game. Also, it did look like they were watching a funeral at times. Let's break it all down. Massive win, tactical masterclass, who fired, who flopped, and what it means for both clubs moving forward. So let's play that intro. You hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll get straight into it. The Good Friday SuperClash, as it's always billed, promised to be something exciting. We said in the preview this was a narrative builder for both football clubs, but what actually entailed was a Carlton clinic and a North Melbourne nightmare. Under the massive Marvel Stadium roof, in front of 46,000 fans, the Blues torched the Kangaroos by 82 points with a damaging performance of spread, ruthless ball hunting, strong ball movement, Carlton's best outing probably for 4 quarters for what feels like since that glory period and that run in finals. Carlton ended the game 24-9-153, defeating North Melbourne 11-5-71 in what was a big statement win for a side that has looked dead and buried only 2 weeks ago. But while the final win was massive, the implications for both clubs do have large ramifications. Carlton, there's life in this season yet. After a disastrous 0-4 start, Carlton have now won back-to-back games by a comfortable margin, injecting much-needed confidence into an entry line, really. Every player in these last 2 games has really got some sustenance. They're now 2-4, and critically, there is confidence in the key pillars of the football club. Michael Voss can breathe a sigh of relief, but tougher tests are about to unfold. Geelong, Adelaide, St Kilda, Sydney, GWS, all to come in the coming weeks. The Blues pressure-based system, which we keep talking about, although I'm not a personal fan of, this is how it has to work. It has to be overdrive pressure. And in fairness to Michael Voss, you've got to give him props. Even though I don't like the system, when it works like this, it is mighty effective. What really stood out was how Carlton's style does hurt teams. They didn't just beat North, they blitzed them. Pace on the ball, relentless forward pressure, wave after wave running from Akers, Chera, Hewett, Cottrell, made the Roos look pedestrian at times. George Hewett dominating the midfield, and it is a real interesting little avenue. I feel like George Hewett is always been on this show the most underrated player. We talk about how much we love him. We moniker him Rodri for a reason. 34 touches, 12 clearances, 21 contested possessions, winning the SuperClash medal. And this guy is putting in, and I'm not saying he's the same type of player, so don't come at me, but you look at his offensive numbers, very similar to Nick Dacos. Then you look at his defensive numbers, very, very close to Patrick Cripps in his first Brownlow win. This guy is all-round, and if you were doing an All-Australian right now, he would have to be in the count. George Hewett's role change this year has been nothing short of sensational and really deserves a lot more plaudits than he's getting from the media. He is finding the ball, he's using it well, and he's a constant metronome playing that defensive-sided role. And now you are seeing a culture shift in the last 2 games from an Adam Chera and a Hewett midfield, and Cripps is the extra. And that was something we talked about in the preseason. For Carlton to be a top 4 side, Cripps needs to be used in bursts. That moving in the forward line really did help, because although he only kicked 1 goal, it constantly made Core and Logue have to not double up on Charlie. And Charlie himself, 4 goals looked unstoppable, especially when the ball hit the deck. This is where his skill set is. I really do like the Charlie Curnow solo in the forward 50 with just a target to work off in Lewis Young. Zach Williams, Will White, Jesse Motlop, and Corey Durden, the Mosquito fleet, we're going to dub them, combining for 12 goals. Carlton having a spread of goal kickers is so integral. One of the big key facets of Voss's game is they get into that pedestrian method of kicking long to Harry and Charlie. With Harry not there, seeing these guys step up is really important, and I do pray that when Harry does return to this team, that we remember that ball entries are so important. If we can get these boys in and around the play, Jesse Motlop pinch hitting in the midfield, it worked this week, it kind of worked last week. There is something there with that. Corey Durden being that pressure-based. It's a very interesting thing. Carlton can't play 5 smalls. It's the same as playing 3 talls. Ain't going to work. But Corey Durden and Jesse Motlop's defensive pressure is pretty good. Corey Durden, he marked his game with 2 early goals, and his forward pressure really did set the tone. Playing front and centre, very good performance from him. And for the first time in 2025, we played 4 quarters of this powerful, attacking, structured footy. Not just in bursts, but they had their rest moments as they locked it in and created multiple stoppages in the forward half. There were signs were there, the fast ball movement, better link-up play, and a definite advantage in the meters gained. You really saw Carlton get it forward to purpose and players playing backside and front side of the aerial contest, allowing them to really keep the game on their terms. For North Melbourne, when Carlton's flickering finals hopes were just flickering, North Melbourne's project at the minute is under Clarkson, and at the minute it is rockier. We did it in PommyInOz, and we said that there is something about this side that doesn't have Clarkson's imprint. Their fall round around the ball, their structure breakdown, and their panic is insane. 1 win in this season, 5 games conceding 100 points. No obvious, for me, improvement in the way they defend without the ball, and no obvious improvement in the methodology of how they get out of trouble. North had a mini patch in the second quarter where they did look okay. They reduced the margin. George Wardlaw, returning from injury, gave a glimpse with his 21 touches and 5 clearances and his goal, but that was kind of it for the positives. From midway through the third and onwards, North were overrun, their ball movement disintegrated, they resorted to handballs in panic, the players started to become condensed, so there was no options to spread the play, their tackling intensity almost was non-existent. Jerry beating TDK in hitouts 43-24 and being the tackle meister with 11. Their midfield outside of that crumbled, and Carlton suddenly looked faster hands, and had a lot better running patterns that kind of caused disarray at times. Carlton often in these stoppages had 2 or 3 players unpicked up. Jack Darling, their big recruit who's meant to stabilise that forward line, yes, he makes Paul Curtis a lot better because he's running into zones which Paul Curtis can float in, but he was invisible. 6 touches, 0 impact. Zach Fisher, he was subbed out with a soft tissue injury, and again, he caught under pressure. The alarm bells are ringing at the minute. The plan has to be under scrutiny, particularly with Clarkson's experience. Now there's going to be questions about them trading away. This year's first is looking riskier, and they've got a tough month ahead. They've got Port, Essendon, Brisbane before Richmond. Without drastic improvement, the Roos are going to get more and more pressure. Teams, they're starting to be a focus point. The media are no longer ignoring them. And at the minute, they need to find some pure grit. It's not just about tactical brilliance. It's about staying in the game for longer. And when I'm seeing Constanti shush people, for me, that shows a little bit of misplaced ego. This is a team. They need to be cohesive. Big themes from the match. Carlton's resurgence. It's real for now. They played their best footy this year in this game. They need to replicate this next week against Geelong. Voss's system is paramount on that front half pressure and that ability to make it hard to get exits. There was still opportunities there where Sheezer, when he was playing at halfback, did thread that ball and no one was willing to take that kick on. That's not going to happen against the best teams. Them teams are going to be confident. But for now, it definitely does stack up if they can replicate it. If they can replicate that for 4 quarters, the Blues are going to be tough to beat. George Hewett's rise means less pressure on Cripps. Cripps was quieter, but him being able to float forward presents a new problem. Us on this show have been saying it for 2 years. Get the bloke forward. Get the bloke in the mixer. He doesn't have to play like Superman anymore. Robin's starting to learn. Mr. Hewett, he's starting to be very good. North structural issues remain. No clean ball movement, very poor defensive setups, hemorrhaging themselves in their own D50, way too many passengers, not enough leaders stepping up. This is a list here that I actually like, North's list. Although they do have a few copy and paste players, definitely the intensity needs to get better. And Carlton's mosquito fleet has a little bit of a buzz. The small forwards are constantly the thing that we complain about, particularly on this show. Seeing the boys actually kick goals, a massive tactical weapon and a massive point of difference for the Blues. Now let's deep dive, right? This wasn't just a good Carlton performance. This was the blue pin on steroids. A statement of system, structure, execution with clear tactical edges, particularly shifts in the third quarter. Carlton's ball movement this week, faster, cleaner, with purpose. And we talk about this. Carlton often get touches with zero impact this year. And the only one that has got away with it all year is George Hewett, because there is impact. This was the first time we've seen 4 quarters of genuine, proper transition football, using the handball and the kick in the right moment. No lazy slingshot footy, no defensive handball change just to get a kick down the wing. It was first hands moving forward, immediate movement from stoppage wins. Overlap running, Blake Acres, Matt Cottrell, Adam Chera, Sam Walsh, linking up in waves, backing your man to win the ball and being there as an option. And the corridor usage, no second guessing, bold kicks on that 45-degree angle to cut open North zonings in the forward half and in the midfield, but also that intuitive running of knowing if you do turn it over, you've shut the corridor down. From a statistical point of view, 64 inside 50s with 39 scoring shots. That's a very solid, just under 60% of inside 50s resulting at a shot at goal. 16.1 metres with a 1.6 kick to handball ratio. Direct, it's damaging, it's safe. It's also showing that it's not chaos footy, it's structured, it's layered, it's based on positioning on and off the ball. That is the metric that the Blues have to refine. And it was good to see, although it's against Eagles and North, I feel like I have to keep caffeine at it. You've got to do it once. So there's no reason now, for me in my mind, that this has to be, moving forward, what they do. Centre bounce and clearance, it was almost a bloodbath at times. North have prided themselves, and Clarkson touched on this, about being competitive around stoppage. Carlton destroyed them here. 20-10 centre clearances, plus 19 contested possessions overall. Hewett, 7 centre clearances, pure grunt, extraction, constantly getting Carlton on the front foot. Chera, 4 centre clearances, playing as the second this week. Surgical ball use, making him sure he was available and working off the hard work from Hewett. And TDK, despite being beaten in raw hitouts, which is just one metric, 43-24, he roved smartly, positioned himself well, used his body well, made sure that he stopped Sherry closing down Hewett's space, which has been the issue we've seen a lot this year. Ruckman taking away that first movement. The Blues didn't just win clearances as well, they exploited around these areas. Immediate forward thrusts from stoppage wins, first hands, first use, first ball entries, creating rather chaotic shots while teams are structured up around in that 6-6-6, particularly around centre clearance. 77 points from stoppage. North only managed 38. They absolutely dominated in centre clearance scores, plus 20, 32-12. When you are doubling your opposition score from stoppage and centre clearance chains, you're controlling the flow of the game. You own the tempo. You are the conductor in the orchestra that is football. And that is very important. That is such a key area where the Blues need to control. Everything stems from there. If they can have control, they can negate a lot of their obvious defensive issues. What was nice as well was the forward half system, the forward half chaos. 94 points scored from forward half in false turnovers. That is the key facet of Michael Voss's game. The tall targets, Kerno and Young, occupied the key defenders, brought the ball to ground if they were outmarked, and both of them used their physicality. They actually had a little bit of mongrel in them. Young dissipating, Caleb Daniel, Kerno getting stuck into Zach Fisher. You want to see that, a little bit of threat, For this game style to work, you can't be the boy next door. You've got to be the boy not next door, the boy with the Asbo. And the Blues played Asbo-style football. Mosquito Fleet, they have to get involved, and the Blues have to avoid keep marks and be front and centre positioning. Make sure you are there. When they were front and centre and then back and centre at each stoppage, someone's already there if the ball does go forward. If it goes out the back, they are also there to make that hard. That handball couldn't be used, and then put the pressure on or shark the goal. And then the fast ground ball, get that ground ball, win it hard. This basically entails that you force turnovers. North couldn't cleanly exit out of D50, resulting in a sudden less than one kick per handball. They started to handball. Everyone actually got drawn into this because of Carlton from the pressure. Players were wanting to help their mate not keep their width, which then takes that kick over the forward press. This was very clever from the Blues, and although it's not going to be as easy to do against great sides, this is the mantra. It creates chaos, it forces no second efforts from North's defenders, and then creates multiple avenues to goal. 12 individual goal kickers for the Blues. Charlie Curnow, 4 goals, 5 marks, very efficient. He was a constant menace. Zach Williams, 4 goals, 2 minutes, 2 kicks in a minute. And that was literally one from a centre clearance. The Blues, once it starts to get going, it's very deadly. Motlop and White, 6 goals combined, and a plus 15 differential from tackles inside forward 50. That is such a mantra. And they came from different sources. It wasn't just one person. Fogarty, Motlop, Durden, proving that they can be two-dimensional type forwards. And the defensive shape, no corridor, no life for North, and many AFL teams. Carlton's midfield 6 and their back 6 were brilliant. Wheater, McGovern and Haynes formed an intercepting triangle. They owned the air against Darling, Larkey and Curtis. They forced North to go out wide to low percentile positions, which then created predictable attacks. You get a lot more loopy kick from them wider positions and deep launches against. Every time they tried to come inside, Carlton zone adjusted in the midfield. The wingers dropped back. The halfbacks squeezed up. Midfields filled the corridor. They literally said, if you want to change the angle and make it easy for yourself, it's turnover central. And the Blues scoring 69 points on turnover just shows this case. North's midfield inside 50, they only got 41% of shots from their inside 50s. Their meters gained literally disapparated in the second half. Mass increase in handballs, panic football, no looking for the switches or kick over Carlton's press. They just had to react to the situation, stay condensed, stay short, and suddenly Carlton managed to overload them. They made the corridor the Blues a no-go zone. Nothing clean or easy got through the middle, and the tactical roles were brilliant. George Hewett, clearance animal, first use outside of the stoppage. Chera, damage distributor, be that receiver, connection to create inside-outside, change the angle of the tack. Blake Acres and Matt Cottrell, hard running, always been the reset option, particularly from turnover. Charlie Curnow, well, we talk about gravity. He drew 2 defenders to every contest, creating space for Zach Williams, pressure forward momentum shifter. Corey Durden, Will White to really exploit. And a huge shout out to Matt Carroll, played that high up intercept role and literally was a pain with them bullet-like kicks constantly making Carlton go back on the front foot. And Lewis Young, literally, he was that bomb entry type forward. Stay in the goal square, pull someone out, whether it was Aidan Core, whoever it was, and make them work and let players work off you. It's such a simplistic role that if you play Harry in that role, it's game over because he will mark a lot of the spills. So what went right for the Blues? Speed and spread vastly improved, helping you on transition when you spread the ball that way, because when you turn it over, there's no easy avenue to get through you. Midfield depth, stepping up without needing Cripps to dominate. 12 different goal kickers, it makes it harder to defend. Clean stoppage and clearance work and swift forward entries, getting that ball moving forward or sideways to create new avenues to goal. And the defensive set out, no easy outs from defensive half. And that ability to really press up this, what we talked about, wings come inside, halfbacks stretch up, suddenly you're condensing the field and saying if you go into the corridor, shit will happen. What went wrong from North's point of view? Midfield physically was overwhelmed and structurally. Jack Darling, although leading well, didn't ever give them an outlet. No forward connection from their midfield, particularly after half-time. And again, another 100 points concession for the 5th time this year. Calmness under pressure. At the moment, their leaders are stepping up. Luke Parker was brought in to add a bit of physicality, but he felt like he was on like some kind of farewell tour at times. And also, to be plus 23 points up from expected scores from a data analytics, it is quite impressive. If you're plus 23 from where you're expected to be, genuinely you win the game. But this just shows that there is a pulse, but there isn't a committance. There isn't actually committing to that attacking drive. Once that tackle pressure went, having less 19 tackles when you've had less of the ball, that says everything. That says everything. Your pressure needs to be up, working together, and at times they go ball hunting and looking for it, as opposed to keeping your width and creating the option. At times they just they tried to flood areas, no spread and no confidence in the team to win the ball back and get it going. Simply, at the end of the game, North looked like they had no polish, tactical flexibility, or legs to go with Carlton once the heat rose. So what are the talking points from this? I want you to answer this question. Is George Hewett playing the best footy of his career? And 2, is he all Australian? Because I think he is. Have Carlton turned the corner, or is this just bullying weak sides? How bad is North trading away their future first should they finish bottom 2? And North, how can they add that? What have they got there that can add that directness? They need to commit here, and at the minute they feel like they're kind of dipping their toes in the water. They're not jumping in. Sound off in the comments. I love to hear you. I want to know what you think. Who is Carlton's most important midfielder right now? Hewett, Chera, Cripps, right? Who is it? Are North progressing under Clarkson? And did Matt Cottrell play the most underrated role in this game? Like the vid, smash the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Stick around for some more footy breakdown. I'll be back tonight watching the Richmond Gold Coast game. Can't wait to see you. Peace, love and light. Pommy out.